Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio,
on your Hometown Station KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guests this morning are Arif Halaby of Total Financial Solutions, and later in the hour we will have Kim Wall, an alternative medicine advocate. And I understand that Arif is tied up with a client, so he may be sneaking in a few minutes. Momentarily.
But usually when we talk with Arif, one of the big things we talk about, Barb, is scams that are going on with seniors. And I was reading in the AARP magazine today, another one that is hitting our seniors right now all over the place, and that is related to veterans and their wives. And, you know, we often see in our local obituaries the write-up of people who have passed away, and you'll see in it that some of them are veterans. And what's going on now, the scam that is going on now, is that the wives or the husbands are being called up because it's in the newspaper. They know people's names and they can locate their phone numbers. They call them up and they'll say, oh yeah, I'm calling from this insurance company, and your husband or your wife had a life insurance policy that the payment is due, but because they didn't pay it, then you're going to lose it. But if you pay right now, the premiums, the previous premiums, like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, the $50,000, $100,000, or $1 million policy will be sustained, and you can collect on it.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
So we're warning our listeners right now that, you know, scams all over the place. Anybody calling you up and saying that your granddaughter or son is locked away in a prison in some foreign country.
Yep. That's happened to me.
Stuff like that is happening day in and day out, not just on the internet when somebody is typing you a message.
Veterans and their families, how low can people get?
This is the nature of, I mean, what they're doing is already low.
Yes, that's true.
The fact that they're going to take advantage of another situation, someone passing away, someone having been a veteran, and then, you know, trying to take someone who's in grief at that moment and thinking, oh, yeah, but I do need, you know, income, and just, you know, the haphazard, let me write the check,
and they
happens
are
immediately.
at their lowest ebb.
Lowest ebb, and that's the unfortunate part. That's what's going on. So these scams are happening everywhere, and we warn our seniors, you know, day in and day out. Just make sure that you do not go for them. If something seems suspicious, if somebody's asking you questions about people around you or yourself or your Social Security numbers or other information, do not give it to them. Do not give it to them on the phone. Do not give it to them in person. If they stop you on the street, or if they're even sending it in the mail, do not give it to them. And especially we see it online. Many of our seniors are online now, and they're, you know, we all get email with these scams on it. And I think that, you know, that awareness needs to be out there. It's going to happen, you know, all of 2018. And this is one of the sad parts about what's going on around the world, let alone here in the United States. But for our citizens in Santa Clarita, we're going to take care of them because we are going to warn them. We're going to make sure that they don't succumb to, you know, some of these greedy people out there that have no scruples at all, that are going to try to take advantage of especially our seniors.
It's interesting because fortunately I have phones that tell me who's calling. And if I don't recognize the name, I don't pick it up.
Right.
I let it go to voicemail, and as soon as the voicemail starts, it stops because they've hung up.
Do you know what the other scam is about that, Barb? There's another scam out there that they might give a name that's similar, but they give a phone number that's similar or close to numbers that you have called. How they get your number versus other numbers, I don't know. But many a times we have caller ID. We'll see the numbers on there, and it'll be almost even similar to our number calling us. And, you know, then it entices you, hey, I know this person, to pick up, and then you're engaged in a conversation with someone that you need to hang up on.
That's right, and it's unfortunate. And I hang up because a lot of these are recorded calls too.
Yeah.
You have just won a trip to da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and when you try to say, I'm not interested, they're still talking over you.
Yeah, 'cause
so
it's
you know
recorded.
it's a recorded call. So I just hang up.
Yeah.
And some of those numbers are a 661 area code.
Correct.
You know? So, oh,
So we have to be careful this year. This is a year, everybody, works hard, they save, they sustain their credit, and they do fine. But there are others that don't do that and are just trying to take advantage of us, and we're just not going to let it happen here in Santa Clarita.
well, we can do our best to stop it. And for the seniors who are listening, please be aware. If you don't recognize a phone number, don't pick it up. Let it go to voicemail. If you don't recognize somebody on the internet who's emailing you, erase it. Because that person, if they're a friend of yours or concerned about you, they will contact you and you will know who it is.
Right. So the scams are going to be there, and it's not just the scam that we've just mentioned. There are other ones that are out there, and you just have to raise your antennae up and make sure that you don't get caught in this, because the worst thing that can happen, and I've never been scammed, I don't think, but in medicine, of course, you want to believe your patients, and especially when I worked emergency room, patients would come in and they were kind of scamming us, and some of them trying to get drugs, and an injection or IV dose or pills, and we're not lie detectors. We're far from it, and it's a split moment decision. Do you write the prescription or give medication or not? And I know I've been scammed, so-called scammed, or conned into giving medication to people who are just great historians, great knowledge of like migraine headaches, and they come in with the textbook description. And it happened to me in West LA in the emergency room there, and I knew I got scammed by an individual, but it was too late. He left, and the astute nurses, though, said, Gene, you're getting, this does not sound legitimate. And, I'm saying, trying to weigh it. But they said, but in a way, everything is in place. And you can document everything, and we've later found out that a gentleman who came into the emergency room took advantage of us. But the great part, the nurse went out and got his license plate number.
Good for her.
And we were a bay for Highway Patrol, LA County Sheriffs, and LAPD. So we always had them there in our emergency room.
Yeah.
And the nurses, we talked about it, and we went to one of the persons that said, we can't do anything. They looked it up, and they said it's from, I guess it was from a rent-a-car or something like that. So they couldn't follow up on it. So, and it was interesting that, that was 40 years ago.
But
40 years ago that happened to me.
You know what's great, though? Those nurses were aware.
They were aware. They taught me a lesson.
Oh, I bet.
Which I felt and there were two of the nurses, and here's the most interesting part. About a year ago, there was a nurse interviewing for a position and over at Henry Mayo, and I looked at her and I said, "Gee, you look familiar." And it turned out that she was one of the nurses.
It's a small world, isn't it?
I asked her if she remembered that situation, and indeed, it set a mark in her memory that said that she remembered this particular case. But the end of the story she did not know about, and I told her what happened after that. After we all got conned, especially me, then I ended up. That was like the first or second day of my rotation in the emergency room. Then what happened was like 6 weeks later, at the very end of my rotation, the guy comes back. The same person comes back. Now, we don't have computerizations, so I got in a little late, and we're in the dark room. A guy's complaining of migraine headaches, and I walk in late, the room's dark, and I'm standing at the foot of the bed, and I look at the tennis shoes, and I thought, those look familiar. And then I hear his voice, that those look familiar. And as we walked out of the room, the attending says, "Okay, Gene, what would you do? What would you do with this guy?" And I told her, our attending, I'd have him arrested. And he said, why? And I said, because he's the one who conned us 6 weeks ago. And so with no computers, though, I had told the story to others as a learning lesson, but I remembered that name that he had given and was able to pull the chart while he was still there. And of course, the LAPD was there, and we said, this is the situation. And they said, well, we really can't get him on a whole lot, but certainly using false identification is cause for us to arrest him. And they indeed arrested him, and they put him in handcuffs, took him out of the dark room, and as he was walking out, everybody's patting me on the back and says, Gene got that guy arrested. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, what a story, what a difference. And I told the nurse a year ago when I saw her of that story and the completion of the story. And there's really never a time in life where you get that retribution ever,
That's
right?
very true.
You lose your money,
That's very true.
you give medication, you are conned into it. But, this was one of the times and moments that, I think 6 weeks later, and with that fresh memory of it, and still lasting 40 years later, that was one of the times where, no, I got conned, but I learned one of my greatest lessons.
You learned a lesson, absolutely. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of people. They get conned once, and then they learn a bad lesson, which hopefully keeps them from doing it again, to be a lot more aware.
But, the bad part is, Barb, that they get conned and they don't tell people they get conned. They don't even tell their family members that they've just written a check for $2,500.
Because they're ashamed.
And they're ashamed.
That's right.
And I would be too. I
right.
would be too. And, this is when, if you are out there and you think there's a con going on, you call us at this station, 298-5487, and let us know, because we'll be happy to put what the con is, put it out there to the public's eye so that others around us will not get conned either. Because to know about these things, if it's happening to you here in Santa Clarita, then it's going to be happening to others.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Everybody has to be aware. And by broadcasting out to the public, I think that awareness keeps others from, having the same problems and being separated from their money.
And that is dire, too. When you're a senior and you're living on a fixed income and you write this check and your money is gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, people have that nest egg to be able to survive. And, when you have a fixed income coming in, from even the pension that you might have, you're watching every nickel and every dime.
That's right. You certainly are.
And it's sad that people who have not worked so hard as you will come by and just try to take advantage of situations and literally lie, because our seniors are all trusting. I think we all in general are. We're not thinking that we're having somebody looking us in the face and shaking our hand and promising this and that, and we're thinking they're telling us the truth. And I think 99% of the time it's the truth.
That's right.
But there are just times when they're not, and it is hurtful, and harmful as well when people do this to us.
That's very, very true. And on that note, we need to take a break, don't we? I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located in Old Town Newhall, the CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go to canyontheater.org.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call the Way Out Recovery now 888-296-4444 or visit thewayoutrecoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
Remember when Mom would bake cookies and you'd sneak some raw cookie dough? Raw cookie dough is the best, and now you can get safe-to-eat raw cookie dough at Delicious Sweets and Treats at the Westfield Town Center Mall. Delicious Sweets and Treats raw cookie dough comes in several flavors like birthday cake, sugar cookie, unicorn, and everyone's favorite, chocolate chip. Not into the raw stuff? No worries. You can also get freshly baked cookies or buy the dough to bake yourself. Delicious Sweets and Treats near JCPenney's in the mall.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Santa Clarita's Hometown Station, Hometown Station, KHTS.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And unfortunately, Arif couldn't make it because he was with a client, but look who's here now, Kim Wall.
Oh, she's just walking in the door for 2018.
Kim
so
Wall.
We were talking a little bit about the cons that were going on. Kim, you may have heard some of our show, but in what you do, that's not a con. This is the reality of how people are living and trying to survive and get healthy in 2018. And I know one of the things that you do, Kim, is bring that information to our listeners to help them, make life better and stay healthy.
Well, like you said, just navigate the field. There's so much out there for people's financial gain that we've lost the humanity of what it is to have wellness or have wholeness in our life, be it financially, be it relationship, wellness, whatever it might be. So you're right. It's as we age, that vulnerability is there, and unfortunately, some of those severe driving forces is money.
Yeah,
and
isn't it them also trying to make us think there's a fountain of youth? And
because again, for money,
yep. And that you can take one pill, and it's going to change your whole life. And all of us, I think, have learned that you got to earn it. And if you get that education, if you figure out how your body is acting and responding, if you exercise, these are all the key things that one should be always doing. But you really do have to earn that.
It doesn't just happen from a pill, no. And I think the sadness is what we see happening in our culture is people age, they become more stagnant. They're not moving as much, they're not breathing as deeply. And it's interesting how just breathing, I've been working on some stuff on myself lately, and these deep diaphragm breathing with the abdomen and really engaging your body. People don't breathe anymore. We don't move anymore. And part of that, like you said, is okay, well, here's a blood thinner, and here's oxygen, and here's these things. Well, our body is crying help. We need to stop putting tape over the check engine light. And it doesn't just happen today. It's something that creeps up on us, and I think people get so overwhelmed and burdened with going to the doctor and the doctor saying this and the pills and the this and this and who's looking at that underlying thing. And if we don't know, we've given our power up to someone else that we don't know, I don't feel right, doctor, or you know what, financially this doesn't feel good to me, or whatever the situation might be. It's sad that there's people out there that will take advantage of people in that situation. But again, if we're educated and we're empowered, then we're going to be able to look at that and go, you know what, that just doesn't sound quite right to me. I've tried that, or I've seen that with a family member. And, we talked about this before, about our last days of our life, those moments when it's come to an end, and what some people do to prolong that experience with no quality of life or existence. For what purpose? Emotionally, financially? I mean, everybody's going to have a different motive involved. But it's understanding our wishes. It's about making sure that the quality of life is right to the end. My belief is you don't go home one day sooner than the good Lord's going to take you.
Exactly.
But how you get to
Exactly.
live to that day is in your power. Are you a morphine addict?
right.
Are you an opiate head? Are you laying in bed with no quality of life? Or are you getting up every day and doing whatever it is for you you can do? You know, I walk out on the porch and I walk around my neighborhood and I sit out in the sun and drink my cup of tea so I'm getting some vitamin D. I'm out in my garden. Whatever the simplicity is, breathing, moving, interacting, being smart, because unfortunately today there are a lot of lies. And we've been fed lies for a long time. And my whole thing is, you know, we go to agencies like the FDA and the CDC and these people that are supposed to regulate and protect to make sure, because it is such a mass market of health and food and all these things, they're there to protect us, to make sure, hey, you know, we saw that this is bad. We have some questions about this.
And confirm it for us.
Exactly. Because we look at other countries that are doing it and having positive results in their culture. How is it that America has the lowest mortality rate for infants on the first day of their life than any other countries out there? What are we doing starting off our children? Why are our seniors so weak and so depleted? Where's quality of life? You know, you used to plan that retirement and you'd go and you'd travel and you'd do. And then when you couldn't travel and do, you still had that little community. You went and you hang and you were moving, you were active, your brain was engaged. I think today, because of what our culture has done by dividing us, even families and children and the whole spectrum, you get isolated in your home. And then you're fed the television and you become a stagnation. Then you're going to the doctor, who the doctor isn't looking at you. I'm not bringing Dr. Dorio into this conversation because he's not that. I'm so impressed by this man. That's not him. But a lot of percentage of doctors out there don't have a relationship. They don't understand. If I came to you and I said, hey, I'm in pain, I think something is wrong. For me to come, that's a huge step. For you to blow me off or think, oh, she's just another person after this
Or
or
just
that.
write the prescription and send you out the door because you
Exactly.
don't have time to ask the right questions of your patient.
Exactly. I had that happen to me in December. I was given a little life check reality, and it kind of put me back on my heels. And if I went one direction, there are opiates for me, and there's all kinds of things to make my pain better. But you know what? When I look at it in a wholeness way, no, it's my body telling me you need to strengthen yourself. You need to work on these things that are going to be longevity. And the bottom line at the end of the conversation was, I'm thankful this happened at my age now and not when I was in my 70s or 80s, because it could have debilitated me. So our body does talk to us. And it's funny when I talk to people about my situation, well, you can get a shot, or you can do this, or you can take that, or how about a surgery? How about I start with just getting my body back to where it's telling me help. It's telling me help, and I've not been listening. Yes, my life changed in the last 5 years, and this, like I was telling you, with seniors, you don't realize how it slips on you. You know, you become, you know.
It's so gradual.
It's so gradual.
That's right.
And it sneaks up on you, and
Yes,
you're not
it
doing this
does.
as much. And I wasn't working full time, so I was doing other things, but it was a little shift and a little this. And it shocked me to get on the scale and see that I had put on so much weight. Yes, I don't dress and do, so I know I had put on a little bit of weight, but you know, we justify things. It's menopause. It's this. It's as my daughter said this Christmas. It's the Christmas 30. You know, we justify things. But at what point do we stop and listen to ourselves? The doctor's not going to tell me, "Hey, Kim." You know, the grocery store guy's going to tell me. He ain't going to say, "Hey, Kim." It's for me to realize, you know what? Yes, this hasn't changed, but what's changed? I'm not as active. I'm not doing. And now my body is telling me, you know what? So we want to make sure the body stays strong, the mind stays strong with communication, with relationships, with books, with audio, with radio, with music, the things that keep us strong, because those are the pillars of our life. And if we let those little things slip away, which unfortunately we're seeing so much of the mental aspects of our seniors. I mean, come on, we didn't see dementia and Alzheimer's and this stuff, you know, 100 years ago at the percentage rate we see it today. We just didn't. So we've done something wrong, and we need to go back. In fact, I read this great article, how the sugar companies paid off the industry in 1978 because the industry showed that the sugar caused more heart disease and cancer and health issues than fat did. So they paid off this report so it wouldn't come to light. So at the same time, the whole fat-free craze came to light on the other hand. So we've been lied to. And unfortunately, I think, you know, that big shining spotlight is stirring up a lot of things. But if it doesn't feel true to you, then question it, say to your doctor, hey doc, this, what do you recommend? And hopefully they get somebody that's got that compassion in their heart that's going to look at these things and say, hey, you know what, this is definitely something you can manage. You need to look at your food or your activities, or like I said, even your emotional outlook on life. Because once people lose that emotional purpose, would be the word maybe, we sometimes lose that drive of taking care of themselves.
That's right.
Feeding themselves.
Yeah, and
breathing.
You need to listen to your body, because your body
Absolutely.
talks loud and clear. It really does.
And then your doctor is supposed to, as your body is talking to your doctor, is supposed to elicit the correct questions, asking you, what is your body telling you? Have you had a cough? Have you had weight
Right.
loss? Do you have sleep okay at night? Do you have night sweats? All these things can be valuable information for the doctor who is trying to figure out those signs and symptoms that one might start to get if there's a disease process starting to take place.
And if the person's empowered, then that doctor is a positive tool.
Mm-hmm.
When I was going through what I was going through, it had been quite a few months of my pain, and I'd seen all these different things. I've done massage, I did this. I did all the things that should have made a difference, and I wasn't seeing a result. So I went and saw somebody who had pictures of my back and we did, and boy, sure enough, there was my issue right in black and white. And it was interesting to go backwards, because my very first symptom of this, well, it was a gymnastics accident when I actually went to Canyon High School. It was a gymnastics accident I had way back in the day, that why I didn't do gymnastics anymore. But I had episodes after my children were born, all these little signs that now looking back, I'm like, oh, well, that made sense why that happened. And my body did. It manifested a symptom, and at that time I corrected it, no problem. And that's the beauty, is our body tells us, because our body can fix it. Mm-hmm. Will I be able to have my spine and my bones go back to where they're supposed to be and grow and be beautiful again? Probably not. No. But can I strengthen my body, and my body will do what it needs to do to support me in everything, and I won't do things that I know are bad for me? Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, for me, it was kind of hard, because I'm a kind of go-getter. It's hard for me to sit and do nothing. It really is bizarre, but it's not me. And the universe said, you need to stop. And you need to rethink things, and don't lift that way, don't do this, don't do that. You need to stretch, you need to do other things to strengthen the body. Because like I said, it's about quality of life, not just quantity. I don't want to live to an age where, I'm an opiate, in pain or this or that.
Or shriveled up in a fetal position.
Don't know my name.
And can't speak to anybody
I got
or
somebody
interact.
with oxygen up my nose and a feeding tube in me, and I'm laying there like a nothing. That's not
quality
life.
of life.
No. And we need to realize we have ownership over that, be it what we write down in black and white so that our loved ones know what our wishes are. But where is our ownership? I mean, you're the doctor, but I'm the owner of the body.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And we've given all our power up to the doctor, and not in a bad way, but the doctor is just part of a system. Not all doctors are bad, but I do believe a good percentage of the system is bad, because, again, it's profit driven. If you've got a hospital that big, you got to have people have problems to fill those hospitals and to do. And when you look at hospitals in the beginning, they went after pregnant women having babies. Well, they don't need to do that anymore, because our world is so sick. But we need to look at quality. And what do we go? I don't run to the emergency for this. I have a cup of tea, and I do some zinc lozenges, and I rest if my body tells me to rest. And I take care of myself. And if I don't do that, how do I expect to go in and say, Doc, I'm not any better? Well, what did you do? Well, I'm not, like you said, I'm not sleeping. I'm not doing this or this. That's your ownership. And I think a lot of people, like you said, have given the ownership away and said, just give me the pill. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to deal with it. And if that's your choice, so be it. But that's not a good, if you look at the outcome of that long term, it's not an outcome I would wish on my enemy. It's not a quality of life.
And the physician, my role as a physician is to be the guide, the navigator for my patients. And how I do that is ask questions
A relationship?
that could tell me that indeed there is a process going on that needs to be fixed and could be detrimental to the patient. So I'm always, looking to give them advice, but I have to get that information. And to get that information, you have to, as a doctor, have the time to be able to sit down with the patient and ask enough questions. Nowadays, when you go to a doctor, whether it be an office or a clinic or in the emergency room, how long are they with you? How many questions have they asked? And there should be a rule that the doctor asks 20 questions or 25 questions. But I will tell you that if you have your loved one in the emergency room today, and the doctor comes in, the number of questions is going to be key and important to really determine the correct problems that are going on with your loved one. And if you don't hear not just 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, if you don't hear a ton of questions, and I'm looking at like 20 or 25 at least, then probably that doctor is not going to get the right information to be able to guide them to what your problem is.
No, because that relationship should be happening with a primary doctor, not an emergency doctor. Emergency is emergency. Emergency means you need to go in there and be sewed back up. You need it now.
Right.
And where we've lost that, you're right. We don't put value in our system. Our system is driven by money. It's driven by procedures. You know, I went to who I went to because I knew he had film on my back. If I would have gone to my Western doctor, he would have put me, I still wouldn't know what was going on with me. And he would have put me down a path of frustration. I'm blessed that I had that option to do. But the thing is it needs to be something that's easy, but it also needs something to meet that person's needs when it comes to their quality of life. And like I said, sometimes Dr. Dorio is just asking those questions and asking them of the right person. It's about creating a relationship. And that's what life is about on so many levels, is relationships. We used to have the doctor that knew. And when you came in and said, hey, doc, my kid, oh, I know, because so-and-so and so-and-so had it too. Or, you know, whatever the situation might be, because they had that. And yeah, we move, we do whatever. But you are the owner of all the information.
That's right.
And you can give that doctor, that new doctor, that history and say, listen, this is the way I want to do it. I want you to help me because, you know, I need you to do my blood test to see what my vitamin D levels are. How do I know if I'm doing anything right or wrong? I need you to to make sure my liver and other things are working properly. Sure. But why do most doctors do those tests? Because they're looking for a problem to give you a drug. They're not looking to help you modify any of that. If your cholesterol, which they say is high, which again is understanding what the cholesterol truly is and what it does in the body, they're looking at many different things, because if they can label it as menopause or this or that, then they can apply a drug to it in their protocol. Well, let's take the names away and just, like you said, Barb, listen to what the body's saying. And as we age, we just want to age gracefully. We just want to be able to know what our name is and you know, maybe read a good book and go out and enjoy life and have friends, as opposed to being limited to, you know, no mobility. And that's, I think, what people don't realize. And that was kind of when when I always drive out here, every time I think, what am I going to talk about? And it was that, because I think one of the biggest things in the senior population they lose is mobility. They're not moving around. They're sitting in a stagnant
That's
place,
right.
and they're not most people don't realize they're not breathing. You know, taking big, deep breaths into the body, oxygenating the body. And as they sit there and stagnate, the toxins build up, the energy becomes lower, the kidneys become stressed, you know, they're not going to sleep. Like you said, the night sweats and things like that. What is the body trying to say? And the beauty is there are good doctors like Dr. Dorio out there that are listening. And, you know, I just wish there were more emphasis put on our medical system in helping people that really need the help. Because, see, to me, it's kind of like sticking a plug in a tire that has a hole. Our system is broken. Our people are being poisoned. Our people are being damaged by vaccines and other things. And then you say, well, how do we stay young and how do we stay healthy? Well, I'd say first thing you need to do is stay away from the doctor.
There you go. And I cannot disagree with that, because there's a lot to it. I mean, the simple advice I tell my patients is don't smoke, don't drink, and exercise.
Perfect.
And stay hydrated and make sure that, you know, you have a
Some
mental
leafy green
quality
veggies.
a mental quality of life as well, purpose, something to
Hey,
do.
wait a minute. Don't tell me that I can't have my glass of wine for dinner.
As long as it's
We'll let you go on
organic,
that.
as long as it's organic wine, that's great. But you know how much wine is made with pesticide grapes?
Oh, yeah.
So we don't want to give you fermented pesticides, because that's really a bad neurotoxin that we don't think we want to fry our nervous system with. But organic wine, go for it. It's full of antioxidants. That's why in the olden days, the people that drank the wine and did the fats and the oils and lived to be whatever, that's why. Our wine that you're getting out of some of our local valleys in California and other places are riddled with pesticides to be able to grow them.
Where do we find organic wine?
Again, you
We got to look that up, don't we?
You bet. And when you go into
know,
Bevmo or whatever store you go into, ask them.
wine.
Because if you're the one that says, "Hey, I want it," and that guy wants your business, guess what? He's going to supply
Organic
it,
wine.
and it exists.
I bet it's at Whole Foods. I bet it's Sprouts.
And I'll bet you some high-end
And-
wine stores have it too.
Yes,
Because
I would
again,
think
why?
so.
15 years ago, you wouldn't have thought about it.
No,
But
that's true.
unfortunately, today, it's that transparency we need. Because I want to purchase this product and I want to enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a glass of wine.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that. Or other things, as long as they are organic, you know where they come from and what the quality is.
And the limitations that you have to
You
put on it
bet.
as well.
And that's where you become, like you said, the emotional wellness. If we have emotional holes and we have those things, and then those things, anything can become addictive. Anything can
Anything.
destroy the quality of your life.
That's true.
So
And
it doesn't have to just be that
That's
source.
right. Let's take a break, shall we? Got old evil eye over here, eagle eye, and whoa. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
If you're tired of your nail polish chipping a day or two after an expensive manicure, then you'll love the gel nail polish manicure now offered by Anne. Anne is a licensed manicurist serving the Santa Clarita Valley in Canyon Country for over 15 years. And now she's offering the gel manicure that lasts without chipping for up to 2 weeks. Log on to hometownstation.com for details on how to get an amazing deal on gel nails by Anne on Restaurant Row, or call Anne at 250-8340.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Drug and alcohol use can lead to troubles at school or work, relationship problems, financial or legal difficulties, medical and psychiatric issues. I'm Bob Sheritz, the host of the Way Out Recovery Hour, airing every Monday at noon. The Way Out Recovery Hour features prominent guests and organizations discussing the epidemic of drugs and alcohol in our valley. Don't miss the Way Out Recovery Hour every Monday at noon. Asking for help is the first step. There is the way out.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
It's time to put the pedal to the metal. I'm Alan Taylor, host of The Drive, your source for all things auto. Broadcasting from the Peterson Automotive Museum every Saturday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. right here on KHTS. Brought to you by your friends at Galpin Motors.
Hey Dodgers fans, check out the KHTS website at hometownstation.com. Get the latest news and sports happenings in our Santa Clarita Valley, find out more about KHTS shows and our on-air features, plus receive incredible discounts with our Restaurant Row certificates. That's hometownstation.com.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we're speaking with Kim Wall, who's an alternative medicine advocate. And what we've really been talking about this half of the hour is listening to your body. Listen to your body, because your body will talk to you. It will tell you what's wrong. And I have one of the most significant things that happened to me. They stopped methotrexate. I was on it for once a week shot for over 6 years. They stopped making it. And then I started having severe indigestion, which I never had. I mean, talk about pain. And I thought, something's wrong. I went into the doctor. They did a CAT scan. And I ended up with almost 4th stage cancer.
Which we think may have come from
which is a possible side effect.
Right.
Of
They don't,
methotrexate.
and they've begun talking about it a little bit more now.
We're the guinea pigs with a lot of these
That's
drugs.
right.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting because I had to go through chemotherapy. It was the whole ordeal was very painful. And the doctor put me on hydrocodone. And my son came to visit me one day, and he looked at that pill box. He said, "What are you taking? That will kill you." He said, "Let me get you the CBD pills." My pain was gone in 2 days.
Well, I will say that that is something that I have become a very good friend of, is that aspect of it, is the CBD, myself personally, both topically and in some tea. And it's life-changing. It truly is life-changing. And like I said, I wouldn't be somebody that could go down that whole opiate side, just because, I mean, I remember, gosh, almost 40 years ago when I was first married, I was playing a family softball game with family members, and I fell, and they took me to emergency, and they gave me Tylenol with codeine. I was as sick as a dog and thought, I'm never touching that stuff again. And truly, I've been my whole life without any kind of pain medication. And then to have what happened to me happen, it was funny because I was using aspirin, and the doctor that I was working with says, well, if aspirin's helping you, that's great, but, usually that doesn't help anybody, but you're so clean or whatever that it is. And it did, and in that cute moments, it helped me. But I will say, and like I said, we're looking long-term longevity. CBD is going to give me what I need for the nerve and for the healing. And again, understanding, yes, I'm taking, I'm doing teas that are, things that are, with nettle, to give me my high calcium and things to make sure my body has the raw material to compensate. When we had the symptoms of your digestion and what we're going to take for this or that, why didn't we start here? And that's it. The doctors always want to go with it. Not that a medication couldn't save my life, but why not start with the most simplest place to start? And then, that's my final option. If I can't handle my life, that is my option. Because I will say, I can understand how pain can debilitate people and can really steal the joy out of their life. And the little things that you might take pleasure in. Like, I love to cook. I have cooked almost every single night for my family for almost 40 years. I love to cook, and that's what hurts me the most to do, is cook, is to stand at that counter and do that. So yes, I get it, and now I sit down at my kitchen table and do everything, and then do it really
and
fast.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you compensate. You make it work
That's
for you, because
right.
I'm not going to give up my food. Because let me tell you, that for a while I got lazy and said, well, why don't you guys go pick up food? I felt worse. Because the inflammation that can cause the nerve pain to be worse was happening because I was eating foods I had no control over. And places I love.
And your body wasn't used to that type of food.
Nope.
And
it made
your
it
body
inflamed.
reacted.
Exactly. But if you're in that state all the time, you don't know it.
That's
so
true.
again,
That's
that's kind of that double. But yes, 100%, Barb. I put it in my body. My body said, oh no, the inflammation rose. And what is Alzheimer's? Alzheimer's is an inflammatory process in the brain that's damaging that. So we want to look at inflammation. And where does that start? Again, like I said, is with food, but it's listening and knowing what is it. Pain can be a good, but pain can be bad. And when it becomes debilitating, yes, like I said, I've been 6 months, almost 8 months trying to figure out what was wrong, and did a lot of things. I did tons of bromelain, and I did different herbs and oils and topicals. And when I realized what it was and went to an exercise program that supported it, and the CBD, it's really, the last 3 weeks have changed my life.
And making sure our listening audience understands that CBD,
Is made-
THC,
right.
is from cannabis.
Right.
And it is now legal medicinally. It's been for over a decade, whereas now we recreationally they can
And hopefully
use it too.
they will have in those recreational places the medicinal creams and bath bombs and things that can be used for pain and stuff as well. Because like I said, it's just like anything. There are times, and I can't put my head around it, but I'm sure there's times and places where those opiate pain pills have helped people.
Oh,
I'm sure of it,
I'm sure
okay?
they have.
But you can abuse it. Anything can be abused, and
Or
that's
the
why
addicting quality of them.
That's true. See, that's true.
Is a big problem
Right.
that many of our patients have faced and continue with it and ruin their lives.
Yes, because you're 100% right on that. But if you had something to take its place that could give you relief, that would be an option. And it's interesting because there are places out there that are actually using cannabis to get people off of opiate drugs.
Absolutely.
I think
And
they're going to
honestly
have
think
to.
I think that's where we're going to go.
Because
but
it's a brain stabilizer,
it-
and it's for the withdrawal as well as the pain.
But it's a cultural change
has
that
to,
we
you're
have
right.
to that we're going through right now, and there are limitations that I still see with cannabis. I still see some problems associated with it, but they're putting a little bit of overregulation on it. Whereas I still say the gateway drug that is out there for all our citizens is alcohol,
Yes,
and the use of alcohol,
absolutely.
especially early in life. The kids use that in college, and I'm kind of abhorred sometimes where, my hope would be that there will be some universities that will be out there that says this is going to be a dry campus, and try to teach kids that there's a limitation now that we should have on our alcohol
Because it can
as
steal your
well.
quality of life
All of
as
that.
well as quantity of life as
Right.
well.
Well, it's always great talking with you, Kim, because you bring up all these issues. The organic wine and the cannabis that is now there. But when you come back next month, we're gonna, I'm sure, talk about these issues because it's going to be in the forefront.
You
This
bet.
is the way medicine should be, about how patients now see their doctors and ask them questions and give them information and say, you need to listen, give me the time I need to be able to guide you,
Exactly.
you and both of us together through my ordeal.
And
So-
take the power out of the pharmaceuticals' hands and give it
Absolutely.
back
Kim
to the
Wall.
people to make a difference for our quality as well as quantity.
Kim
of
Wall,
life.
thanks so much.
My pleasure,
Appreciate
guys.
it. We'll see you
Yes.
next month. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in-Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.